I know you are fed up with the lack of money. You too want to get rich and become a leader, not a spectator of this life that we are told on social media. So how can we get rich quick? By becoming a social media phenomenon? How about e-commerce? It's all the rage right now. Or you can jar the jams your grandmother made and sell them to America. But to be fair, this was a bit labor intensive. Instead, cryptocurrencies, which are slowly grabbing where they fell, can accompany you on this path. Wait, don't pass by. Of course, this video will not be about these topics. We will not be continuing with a superficial point of view as usual. The information you will hear in this video is investment advice for your personal development. Money is on the agenda for all of us in one way or another. There are tons of words about not being a slave to money, but at the end of the day, we all cross paths with money somehow. Days, weeks, months, years pass to earn money in this 3-day world. What is this money that lives are spent for? Is it the dirt of one's hands? Is it the most effective way to gain respect? Or is it to have everything we want? This time we are starting a little further back in our story. Hold on tight, we are going on a fast time travel in history. We are going to look at the journey of money from the very beginning of human history to the present day. The first coins were quite different from the current ones. Let's start by examining them first. Shells are an ancient form of currency used mainly in the Pacific Islands and coastal regions of Africa. Cowrie shells were the most common type of shell. They were considered a valuable tool for barter and trade. Salt has been a valuable trade item since prehistoric times. In Rome, it is known that soldiers were paid in exchange for salt, and this payment was called salarium. This is also the root of the modern English word salary. In the 9,000 years of BC, there was an economy based on agriculture. People met their needs together with the P in money through barter. We are going to the 7th century in our history of money trip. Don't worry, our new destination is not far from us. We are in Turkey. The kingdom of Lydia was located in these ancient lands. The Lydians produced the first simple shaped and stamped coins made of a mixture of gold and silver from the mines. The coins must have rattled in the pockets too much, because as we leave the perch of time, we enter BC China. And what do we see? The first paper money in history is already in use. Since paper money is lighter and more practical than coins, it was discovered and started to be used in this period. For our next stop, we traveled a long way to America in the 1950s. Until this date, money continued to be in the form of coins and paper banknotes. The first credit card was introduced in the United States in the 1950s. The credit card, also called Dinner's Club, was used to pay at a restaurant in New York. This credit card could only be used in a few restaurants, but then it spread to a wider network. Yes, credit cards have long replaced the coins and paper money that we carry in our pockets these days with their themeless features. And not only physical cards. In recent years, it has become very common to pay with wearable technological devices, but the system behind them is the same as that of bank credit cards. We are about to reach our last stop in the historical development of money. You are all probably wondering why we are now at 2008. In the past, I might have given you some time to think about it, but in previous videos, we've talked about the equation of money equals time. In the year 2008, a mysterious man, Satoshi Nakamoto, appeared on the scene. I'm not going to get into the mystery of whether Satoshi was one person or a group, but I want to draw your attention to 5 points from the white paper that Satoshi wrote when he launched Bitcoin in 2008. 1. It's a decentralized system. Bitcoin is a system that works without a central authority or intermediary. It can make money transfers directly between users without any central authority or intermediary institution. 2. Blockchain technology. Bitcoin uses a technology called blockchain. Blockchain is a distributed database made up of a series of blocks linked together. This technology is used to securely record and verify transactions. 3. Mining. Bitcoin is created through a process called mining. Mining is when computers solve mathematical problems to verify transactions and generate new bitcoins. 4. Limited supply. The supply of Bitcoin is limited, with the maximum supply capped at 21 million bitcoins. This ensures control of the money supply and prevents inflation. 5. Privacy. Bitcoin transactions are anonymous, but the level of privacy is not complete. Bitcoin takes place on blockchains, with all transactions open. Bitcoin was intended to solve existing financial problems by removing intermediaries and introducing some regulation. As you can see in the fourth point, by limiting the supply of Bitcoin, they envisioned to reduce the inflation that could occur due to the oversupply of Bitcoin. I would like to ask a question that all of us have thought about at least once since we were children. If central banks have the authority to print money, why don't we pay our foreign debts by printing our own money? Before answering this question, there is another issue that needs to be known. Let's move on to it. The gold and silver standard is an understanding of a monetary system in which currencies are pegged to a certain weight of gold or silver, and exchange is based on these values. The gold standard was introduced in England in the early 19th century and was later adopted by other major European countries in the 1870s. The gold standard was abandoned by many countries in the early 20th century during the First World War. However, the first country to abandon it was the United States of America in 1933. In 1971, the gold standard was completely abandoned internationally. If financial systems, like other systems, do not accept a vacuum, what happened when this system disappeared? The Bretton Woods system joined us. In the aftermath of the Second World War, an arrangement was adopted at a conference held at Bretton Woods in the United States in 1944, which aimed to regulate exchange rates and ensure international financial and monetary transactions. This system adopted a fixed exchange rate regime, pegging the currencies of member countries to the US dollar and the US dollar to gold. And it led to the establishment of institutions such as the World Bank, the International Monetary Fund. As you can imagine, this system did not last very long and ended on August 15, 1971, when US President Richard Nixon announced that he was stopping the conversion of the US dollar into gold on August 15, 1971. From that date onwards, the United States of America began to print the first free money. In fact, the idea that we should print our own money and pay our debts, which had been in our minds since we were children, theoretically started to be realized after this stage, but with certain financial constraints. After the 2008 mortgage crisis in the United States, many financial institutions came close to collapse. The American state saved these firms by printing thousands of billions of dollars. And who paid the price for this rescue? The American people, of course. If a country starts to print money for nothing, the currency value of that country starts to depreciate rapidly. The greater the supply of something, the greater the inflation. And as a result of this inflation, your money can't reach its former levels of purchasing power. Now you should understand why Bitcoin's white paper limits the supply of Bitcoin to 21 million. You've learned what money is and how it has survived and thrived. Now it's time to learn the rules by which to play the game. The book Rich Dad, Poor Dad blends two different perspectives on money in a marvelous way. Robert Kiyosaki's father is the poor father, while his childhood friend's father represents the rich father. This book is a good illustration of the fact that wealth and poverty are really something that emerges in the human mind and is systematically passed down through generations. Rich people first mentally adapt themselves to this new situation. They plan what they want, what their goals are, and how they need to work to achieve them. There are three topics that rich people care about. 1. Financial freedom. Wealthy people aim to achieve financial freedom and strive to optimize their money-making process. For example, a wealthy individual aims to achieve financial freedom by creating passive income and diversifying their investment portfolio. 2. Investment and passive income. Wealthy people focus on generating sources of passive income in addition to their active income and recommend investments for financial growth. A wealthy individual increases their income by investing in various investment instruments such as stocks, real estate, and businesses. 3. Financial education. Wealthy people emphasize financial literacy and continuous learning and constantly improve their financial knowledge. A wealthy individual keeps their financial knowledge up to date by regularly reading financial books, attending seminars, and working with financial advisors. Poor people, on the other hand, think in terms of earning a regular salary and spending it in the places designed by the founders of the system, or saving it and owning something. The mindset of poor people tends to generate income by working in salaried jobs and leading consumption-oriented lives. For example, a poor person spends a large part of his/her life on luxury consumer goods while working in a job that requires a lot of imagination to make a living. These people often think short-term and have difficulty focusing on long-term financial goals. For example, they resort to borrowing and credit card use to meet immediate needs and do not prioritize saving and investing for the future. If you have trouble visualizing these examples, don't worry. Let's move on to a new example together. Let's set up two fathers. Let's assume from the beginning that both of them pass on their financial thoughts to their children. The rich father's child is named Simge and the poor father's child is named Selimos. We see that while the rich father teaches his child that money is an instrument that should always be used, the poor father instills in his child that money is something that should be saved, and that when he needs something, he should use that savings to own something, perhaps by incurring some debt. Suppose these two families give their children the same amount of pocket money. Simge and Selim receive an allowance of 100 TL from their families. They both plan to buy a smartwatch. The watch they want to buy is 500 TL. At the end of the 5th week, both of them can go and buy that watch with the money they have saved, but only one of them will go and buy that watch at the end of the 5th week. That name is Selim, who was raised with the indoctrination of a poor father, because Selim is programmed to save for what he wants and then buy it with all the money he has. Simje, on the other hand, started to think about what to do with the 500 TL at the end of the 5th week. As he pondered this question, he realized that people were buying digital drawings and using them as prints for their t-shirts or other products they liked. With 300 TL out of the 500 TL she had, she bought a drawing program. He started selling the images he produced using this drawing program as digital products on the internet. The designs in this shop were selling for 5 TL. Now that he had established a passive income system, selling 100 designs would be enough for him to buy that watch. So what exactly would happen when that day came and Simge got that watch? Let me tell you right away. While Simge will have the smartwatch he wanted, he will now be filled with a virtual shop where digital products are sold. She will buy the watch with the sales here, but the sales in this shop will continue to be sold forever. This example illustrates the difference in logic between poor and rich people in the simplest way. If you want to have access to money, you may first need to question your current thoughts and beliefs about money and develop a powerful new financial mindset. Napoleon was asked what 3 things he needed to win a war. He says in order, money, money, and money. Maybe you need to say these 3 words regularly to win your own battles.